Alright, welcome to this episode. Thank you for joining again. In the previous episode, we learned that we have to now transform our prototype into an HTML document, and we went through to visit some pages sources to see what HTML looks like and so on. So it means, and we also learned that we have to build each one of our pages, so like stated in our menus. So we have a home menu and an about menu and so on. For each one of these menus, we have to create a web page, right, which contains HTML. So that's what we are going to do. But before, I would like us to have a tour on HTML, like to have an idea of what it looks like for people who have never touched HTML. So this episode is mainly for you. So we actually brush through, and then that's it. It is going to be short, so I expect you to probably look around. So this is a discovery article video, so this is to actually awaken you on going to look around, and at the same time, even if you have never written in HTML, all you have to do is just to follow this tutorial and type the exact same thing I am typing, and then you should get the same result as I do. So while you are doing that, you now know the importance of HTML, and then be able to learn it in an easier way. So that's the goal. So I have this article here written on lanscourse.com that you could also go and check it out and read a little bit. And there's another one, I think it's on HTML. So you have which is the file system. So because that is where we are going to start from, and one of the prerequisites of this series on HTML or building website is to know how to create files on your computer or whatever computer you are using. So I have this article that explains that aspect of creating files and what is the point. So basically, each one of the web pages like this, or if we are looking at our prototype, each one of these web pages, so starting from the home page, you see it is a file. It has to be a single file on its own. It doesn't have to be always. So for more advanced websites, it's a bit different over there, but for our level, just see it as that. So it has to be a web page, and then the about to has to be a web page. So there have to be distinct files. So it means for this site we will need one file, two files, three files, four files. So we need four files to have all these pages. So, and you need to know how to create those files. So in general, to create a file, since HTML is a texting, so I can use my notepad. And then write some HTML. So if let's say I say so heading 3, and then heading 3, and then I say hello here. We'll come back on this on understanding what exactly I'm writing. So what I do, once I do that, I could save this file. So by saying save as, and then I choose whatever I want to save, and so here you can see that there's something happening, which is this, and that's what we call the file extension. So by default, if I use Notepad or most text editors, it is going to also give me some strange or some default extension, but this extension is very important. Before a page or a document is called a web page, or it is called as an HTML document, the extension has to be .html. So in our case, so let me navigate to where I have the project. So I've created a folder called portfolio. So inside tutorials, so I store my files inside Lahagon www tutorial. So you can choose anywhere on your computer. It can be on your desktop, inside your documents folder or any other folder, and create a folder called portfolio where we are going to put the website files. So in my case here, I had an existing folder which contains some information on the tutorial, yes, the video series. So I'm going to save the file right here. So let's say I name this file, let's say home. So home. So I have to change this extension into HTML. So by doing so, I am now forcing the notepad to give me to create a file different from the text file, which is the default extension. So by doing that, it should save it, and when I go inside that folder, I should see it. So let me go back here. So I should see it, and you can see now the files icon changed into my default browser's icon. So that means when I double click on this file or click on open, it will open with my Windows, my default browser. So this is the proof that it is actually a web page, because we open web pages using web browsers. So if I do this, we should see the text I wrote in bold. So basically that's what it is about creating files, and we'll be doing that all the time for every file. So that's why it is usually important to introduce that aspect of creating files right from the beginning, so that you don't get confused. So I urge you to go and read this article. It explains this aspect of files extensions extensively. So kindly go through. I will put the links of these two tutorials down below the video, so that you can be able to also visit it for those who don't have any knowledge or much knowledge on this subject. So that being said, let's go on and now explore HTML. So obviously, as you could see, I've used any text editor. Like here, I could use any other text editor. The most important thing is to have somewhere where you can type text. So Notepad is a text editor, so it is easy. You can also type any text you want inside. So but for convenience purposes and cleanliness, I have a special text editor created to help web developers have clean thing. So what it means is, imagine if I had to write many of these. So let's say I have another thing going on here. We'll explain all this right now. So if I have another thing, and let's say we have this text going on, and so on and so on and so on. So as time goes, you see it becomes really big and cumbersome. You know, if you don't pay attention, it becomes difficult to distinguish what is what. So that is one problem. So people went on to create special text editors that could help us have readable and easy to read codes. So one of these text editors is Sublime Text. So I am using Sublime Text. So I'm going to switch to Sublime Text, like here. So now I'm going to open the file again using Sublime Text. So I'm going to do file, open file, and then I'll browse through where I have my file saved, log on, www, tutorials, and then portfolio, and we can see the file here. So once I open it, and this time around, you see I have the same text, and now you can see how neat it looks. So this makes writing the code easier. So if I am to, let me clear this all this, and let me keep this. So you can see it colors the elements that are specific to HTML and leaves my text, my default text as it is, to let me know that okay, this is an HTML element, it is an HTML element. So talking about the HTML element, HTML documents, unlike Photoshop document where you have layers, or unlike Microsoft Word documents where you have buttons, text made in bold, and it's easy to mount these buttons. Just click on the button, you make text bold. Highlight a text, click on the I, you make it italic. Highlight a text and then click on the strike S, and you get it striked or underlined, and so on. With HTML, we don't do that. So first of all, we need to tell the browser that this is an HTML page. So when you open it, interpret it as a web page. So do not bring us whatever we write in plain. Try to understand what we are trying to tell you, and rather bring out the result. So you saw that when I wrote, let's say H3, right? H3, and then I said hello world. And then when I go back and then open it again with the browser, you can see that it doesn't bring me the H3 something something, it rather brings me the results. So this is how special the browser is. So it understands that okay, this thing I have to interpret it rather than displaying it. and these things are actually called HTML elements. So for every single purpose we have on our web page, there's an HTML element to make it happen. So this particular element is called the heading element. So we have them heading 1, heading 2. So if you can see, if I do heading 1, I change it into heading 1, come and refresh the browser, so you can see it changes. So we will go through these headings shortly. So every single element has a purpose. So if I have the P element, so let's say, and I write this dummy text inside, so I just made a paragraph. So if I duplicate this paragraph several times, sorry, so you see it shows the difference between the two paragraphs. So that's basically what HTML elements are used for. So you have to kind of use specific HTML element for specific purpose. If you want to underline a text, there's a specific element to underline the text. If you want to make it bold, there's a specific element to make it bold. If you want it to be like a title, there's a specific element to make it like we just saw right now. So basically, writing HTML is all about knowing these elements and knowing their purpose. There are many of them. You don't have to keep them in mind at the beginning. You just have to be using them, typing. You can search online HTML element or HTML tags. So they are also called tags for so, and you should get it. So first of all, now right after that, let's look at what a web page looks like. So to me, we don't just have to write the text as I was doing randomly. There's a structure you need to have when you are building web pages. So the structure goes like this. You start with something called doc type, and then you specify the document type is HTML. So this tells the browser that okay, this document is going to be an HTML document. Then you emphasize again, just as if the browser did not understand. So we are telling the browser again, yes, it is an HTML document, but the document starts from here and then it will end here. So we have an opening, what this is called an opening tag or an opening element, and then this is a closing element. It is very important you look at that. So this is an opening element and this is a closing element. The difference is that the closing element, after the left chevron, you have the /, so which says we end this here. So if at this point, if I go back to my web page and refreshes it, so you will notice that here I'm just refreshing because I did not close it. So if I had closed it, I had to go back again in my folder and then double click to open the page. So far, as I was saying, our page is empty. So all this we entered is not doing anything. All it does is just to communicate to the browser, give some information, some personal information, let's say, or hidden information to the browser to tell, okay, something is going on, but nothing yet to show to the person. So the next thing we need to do is to specify the header. So the header contains some special information which we will discover over time, maybe in some other tutorials. We'll learn some of these things that can go in the header. So we write the head. So we say head, and then we also close the head. So inside the head, we now specify the title, and then in the title we will now write home page. So this is a simple indication to say that okay, this page, the title is home page. It helps us to make the difference between the pages, of course. So when we refresh again, nothing happens. Even the title, we don't seem to see it. But if I remove this tab from the lot, you can see the title shows up here. So that's the title I just wrote. So the title is used for this particular area. So there are other information. There is other information we could put in this header. So such as the meta tags. They are called meta tags. So additional tags or hidden in tags or elements. So we can use them like the car set. In this case, we are telling the browser, okay, our character set for this project for this page is UTF-8. So I'm trying to move it up. The order does not actually matter here. So in the header, we tell the page, okay, we are going to use UTF-8 as character by default. So if you are encoding it, just consider it as UTF-8. Do not bother much about it for now, but the most important thing is the title. So once we have the title written, we can now go ahead and go and add the body of the documents. So the body of the document. So in the body, that's when we put whatever will show up on this empty space we have here, or this on this whole empty space. Whatever we want to see here, we'll put it in between the body opening tag and the body closing tag. So if I write something hello, sorry, not a tag, so hello, we should now see it on the page. So basically, that is how you structure your HTML document. All websites, if you look through very well, you will see that they have at least these elements: the HTML and the HTML, the head, the body and the body. There might be so many other things in between the head. There might be so many other things between the body, and there might even be some other languages inserted here and there, but still you have the same structure. So to prove that, let's look at this page as we were speaking of. So if I do view source, now I connected the computer to the internet. So you can see we have the doc type, we have the HTML, and some extra information even added. Then you still see the head, you see the meta tag I just added over there, and then you see that title tag here. And then you go down. If you go down, you can see there are so many meta tags, and then finally the head closes, and then after that you can see that the body opens, and so on, and then so on. At some point down there, you can see that the body closes and the HTML closes. So if you don't believe me, you might be saying, okay, you are opening a website, this is something you have planned, you are plotting against us. So let me open google.com and see what we have under the hood. So if I do right click view source, oh, do it too, they have the same thing. So you have doc type, HTML, then you have the HTML tab open, and there are so many information. You see, contrary to my case, or unlike my case, they have much more information and some gibberish language here and there. By the way, this gibberish language is JavaScript. So, and then so on, and it doesn't seem to have the structure as we expected. Yes, it is there. It's just like it's so hidden. It's far somewhere down there. So what you actually see, this kind of content is called uglified web page, so, or minified web page. So you can see the meta tags up there, the title tag right here. So you can see, so they actually made it look ugly so that it's not easy for people to read, or also for search engines purposes, so the site loads faster and engines don't have to worry too much. But in the end, you still have the body tag closing here and the HTML tag closing here. So all these websites have all this we just said. So for our web pages, we need to do it. So since we are on it, now let's look at how we lay out the web pages. What do we do? So if we take our case, we have, for example, an image on our prototype. So we'll use it to learn a little bit. So how do we get an image? We use a tag called img, and then it will ask us where is the image. The source will indicate where the image is. We'll come back on this tag. We will not talk too much on it. Then we will have the person's name. So as a title, as a big title, so we might want to use a tag called heading 1. So the headings are used for titles. So let's say we have Jalil Ali as name, right? So that's the title. So these heading tags, we have them H1, H2, right? And then H2. So let's say this is H2. So here with my text editor, I have an advantage of not typing these tags all the time. So I have some kind of shortcuts helping me to easily type them. So for example, if I type, so I didn't close the H2, that's why. So if I type H3 and then do tab, you see it brings the tab for me, the tag for me. So this is H3, H4. This is H4, and then I can even copy and paste. So H5, and then do the same thing, H6. So these headings we have up to 6, and then the bigger the heading number, the smaller the text inside the heading. This is strange, right? So this basically means H6, the text of H6 is smaller than the text of H5. So if we check on our browser now, refresh the page, and we can see, so this is heading 1, heading 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So see, the bigger the number, the smaller the actual rendered text. So that's it with the heading. So we might also need to have some text, some bulk of text. For that we use tags, like a tag or an element like P, so to stand for paragraph. So I'll put in some dummy text. My text editor gives me that opportunity to have this lorem ipsum text, as you could see. So if I save it, see, we have the text showing up. So if you want, let's say, to have an horizontal line, so we use HR for horizontal line, and once you do it and you just refresh, something will show up. So in this situation, you could see that the heading, the horizontal line, I did not close it. So this particular tag is single. So the other ones that require you to close them are called the pair tags. So we have even and odd tags. So this is an even tag. It has opening and closing, and this is an odd tag. So it only opens and doesn't close. So you might meet some of these tags or odd tags often. So another example is, let's say we have another paragraph here, and I say this is a good paragraph that talks about fishes. So the next text, I would like it to go to the next line. So I will insert something called BR, break the line. We break the line, and we like, did you know that fishes love water? So although in my text editor here, you could see that this text is on the same line, but once we render, we preview it, you see that it will break. So after the fishes, you see that the text broke to the next line. So this is another odd tag that can be used. If I remove it, you see now the text will go back in line. So some of the other things you might need to know too. So far, let me take note of that here, so that it can be used to remind ourselves. So we just saw that we have what we call even tags. First of all, we are discovering some of the HTML tags. So we learned that we have even tags. So an example of even tags, we have H1. We have, let's say, paragraph. So I'm now in the closing tags, paragraph, and so on. And then we also learned that we have odd tags, right? And then some of these odd tags, we have BR, we have HR, and then we also have IMG, a tag we will see soon, to insert images. So the next category of tags we could see is that some of the tags, like the paragraphs, whenever you write something, that thing occupies a whole line of the page. So it starts from the beginning of the page and it goes to the end of the page. Nothing else follows. If I remove this line from here, for example, and then rather move it to this area, right? Good. So now we have the two paragraphs following themselves, following each other. So I don't know. That's it. So they are one after another. And if we reload, you see that this paragraph did not go to join the other paragraph at the end here, which is labrum. It did not go and join it there. Rather, it created some space and came in here. So another tag that does such thing is a tag called div, which is division. You will see this tag a lot on websites. You see it a lot on websites. So if I close it here, division, and I put in, this is a virtual division because it does not actually show that there's a division. So you see it actually behaves like just like the paragraph, right? So if I write another division, another div tag here, this text will not go and join the other text. So if I do this, you see it kind of goes back. The difference now between the division and the paragraphs is that you see the paragraphs actually purposely open up this space in between them. In contrary, the divs actually don't make any particular space, but they just move to the next line and they behave just like the BR did right here. Okay, so that's how you go about the divs. So you see that these tags now occupy the line. Now you look at this div. This text is short. It did not allow the other text to follow in the next line. So let's look at some other tags and see how that goes. Let's say I have a tag called so I put it in a div. I'll put it in a div and I say this is and this is an example of what we call inline tags, right? So and then let's say I put the next text into a tag called emphasize, so em. So I want to emphasize it is important to know this difference right from the beginning, right? So when I reload these two texts, you see these two portions of the text actually do not break. Although there's a tag here after this text here, it did not break. This one did not break to the next line. So these two texts stay in the line. So here you might tell me, oh, this text here is not particularly in a particular tag. So maybe that's why. Even if I put it in a particular tag, let's say I put it into a tag called bold, so B. So let me make it B. Oh, sorry. Right, so B stands for bold. So I put it in a bold tag and then even break the line in the source code, and you can see they're still on the same line. So these kind of tags are called inline tags. Meanwhile, the div tags and then the paragraph tags and so on are called the block tags. So this is another category of tags. So in terms of how the tags occupy the space, they can be categorized in two main families, which are the block tags and then the inline tags. Right, so the first categorization depends on either the tags open or the close, and then the second categorization is how they occupy the space on the page. At this point you might not see the importance, but once we start writing some CSS to start the page, then you realize the importance. So basically, these are some of the tags we'll be working with throughout our development. And I hope at this point you have seen a little bit what HTML is all about, how to write some HTML, how to create an HTML page, how to write some HTML inside, and then start our first home pages. So in the next tutorial, in the next video, we are going to build our actual home page as said in the prototype here, and see you in the next video. Please do not hesitate if you are liking this series on this building your portfolio. Kindly consider liking this video, subscribe to the channel. Also kindly consider sharing with your friends or some people, or in groups, Facebook groups or WhatsApp groups, where you know that there are people who might be interested in learning this. So this is going to be a great support. It's going to be a great support. Our channel is not big yet, and so we need people to help us make it big. Thank you, and see you in the next video.